back with another idea for using the flexible ruler. This time, I'm actually going to use it pretty straight. Have you ever wanted to put a diagonal on a paper, but your ruler just isn't long enough? It's also not long enough to go into our 12-inch trimmer. So we need something long enough to cut a 12-inch sheet of paper from one corner to the next. This flexible ruler will do the job for this and a pair of scissors, whichever one you prefer. So I'm going to let this solid cardstock be the base of my page, be the base of the layout, and then I'm going to use this sheet from the Groovy collection, and I want to make a diagonal cut from one corner to the other, and I want it to be crossing all the lines, not going along the line. So I want it to be a cut that way. I also want to orient it such that I can, once we cut it, we'll have several options on how we want it to be laid down on the paper. So we want our cut from this corner to this corner. We can cut it. We can draw a line from here to here. If you're nervous about drawing a line on the front of your paper, you can turn it over and draw it on the back. Now, the way I would recommend drawing it on the back would be by switching it over and then laying the ruler this way. So I actually believe you will see the line better drawn. I can draw a darker line on the back than I would on the front. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to draw a line from one corner to the next. And we can use our 13 by 13 mat here and help get on the diagonal by using the lines shown here. Well, you don't have to do that. Okay, so our ruler is straight enough. We're not looking for an absolute perfectly straight line. We're looking for a straight enough line that goes from corner to corner, because we're going to be cutting this with a pencil. So now we have on the back side of our paper, we could have drawn the same line on the front of our paper. It doesn't matter. We'll pull this up so you can see the line going from corner to corner. Okay, now we're going to cut our straight enough line with our handy dandy scissors here. You can use either scissors that you feel, the longer blade or the shorter blade, whichever one you feel the most comfortable with. And we're going to cut along this line. And you're going to see in our next step why it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a perfect cut. But this will be a fast and beautiful page. Okay. And you can even see, but it's on the back side. There's some pencil marks. Doesn't matter. They're on the back side of the page. So let's flip it back over and see what we have. And now we're done with our nice long 24-inch ruler. And we were going to put this, I actually want this on this side. And therefore, this on this side. Let me see if this is all in frame here. So we're going to slide over so you can see. Okay. When you cut a page on the diagonal, there is a lot that you can do with it. We could lay our papers like this and put them together side by side like that. But on this paper, as you can see, it's not that great of a match when you put the corners together like that. But another design of paper could work that way. But I've chosen to go from the upper right left corner to the lower right corner. And we could leave it just like that. But we can add a little pizzazz to this by bringing in an edge punch. Now, I recommend an edge punch over a border maker cartridge because you do not have to be absolutely perfect. This is longer. This is about 18 inches, so it will not fit into the housing mechanism. Okay. Here's a little trick. So how do we decide where to feed this paper in? Okay. And here is my recommendation on that. We actually use our ruler. I'm going to look for the center of this paper, which actually seems to measure approximately 17 inches. So half of 17 is 8.5. So about right here. And guess what? I'm going to flip it over and put on the back side a little tick mark at 8.5. So I can see where the center of this is. And then I'm going to pull my punch up and, oh, this punch is the Diamond Arches, I believe. Yes, Diamond Arches border punch. Has a little tick mark that looks pretty much centered to me. And I'm going to put my paper in right there and try to get as close as possible to that center. And I'm going to punch, make my first punch. And now I'm going to move it to the left and move it to the right until I have punched all the way through. Now we're going to repeat it on this side. Use our ruler again to measure at about 8.5 inches to get us about near the center. And with this Diamond Arches border punch, try to get that little mark as close to the center for our first punch. And once we get the first punch, the other punches should come in pretty. Okay, so we now have our left and our right base pages put together, and we have a lovely background that we can put all kinds of photos on. Beautiful colors, beautiful design, fast and easy, and this time taking it up a notch by using a border punch that has a nice edge to it. And once again, using our simplest tools. Okay, so now using these simple tools, we've got a design for our layout. So our next step is to just adhere it down. I'm using repositionable tape, especially to get along the edge of our where we punched, because of the different holes. If you have a silicone mat, that will make things even better. Mine is packed in my travel bag for right now. But as you can see, I just used my paper and put the holes where it's going to be covered anyway by when the paper goes down. So I like to get a good solid in the corners. Now if you notice, after we've punched, it doesn't go all the way to the end anymore, to the corner. That's why if it doesn't cut with the scissors perfectly straight in the corner, it won't matter, because by the time you punch away those edges, it's not going to be straight to the corner. And this looks like it needs to try again here. I love repositionable because I definitely need a forgiving adhesive. And repositionable adhesive does become permanent in time. It just has to remain adhered for a little while before it becomes permanently affixed. But that just means that's the magic of chemistry. Okay, so now we can lay down pictures. I'll give you some suggestions. Okay, I'm just going to talk a few minutes about what pictures I scrapbook. And most of my pictures are 4x6s. And so that's what I want my layouts to be able to hold and accommodate. Here's 2 4x6 photos. Or 3 of them. You could throw in a 3x4. That's just on one side. I also make 3.5x5 layouts. So here's some 3.5x5 photos. And I like 4x4 photos. The point is, with a layout design like this, you can make any configuration of photos that you have work for you. And also, when it comes to the smaller sizes, say the 3x3, that for me is more of a journaling spot. So I would probably put a journaling spot here, maybe a title here or here or here. The point is, make it your own. So I hope that this fun layout, easy, the solution to not having a ruler long enough to cut your diagonal has been solved for you. Here's one example of a configuration using 4x6 photos. Here's another configuration using 4x6 photos. The point is, this layout can work for your photos any way that you choose.